The five athletes that I never got to see in person. Muhammad Ali, one of the greatest to ever do it. And I called a little bit of boxing in my career, and it was an eye-opening experience being ringside and seeing the action up close. For Muhammad Ali, there are certain athletes that just had an electricity about them and what they brought to the event. Everything would stop when they walked in. He was one of those athletes. I would have loved to have seen him in his prime, in person. Pistol Pete Maravich. As an NBA fan, I appreciate someone that can do something that you've just never seen before. There's a creativity and individuality that they bring to the action. And Pistol Pete was a one of a kind, a showman. Would have loved to have seen him at LSU and then into the NBA. He just had a certain sense of the theatrics of the game. Joe Namath had something about him that was very tangible that others could not seem to match. And that was a confidence and also a conviction that he was going to be successful. He was the personification of what you thought a New York athlete could be, that could run the city, that could take over the town. And he did it. And he did it with a panache that we just don't see very often. Jackie Robinson, when he broke the baseball color barrier, of course he's known for that, but he was also a gifted athlete, tremendous football player, breaking into Major League Baseball and changing the game. And the pressure that he had to carry with him, to be able to see that in person and how he dealt with it and how he excelled even with the stress that he had to deal with and the burden, pretty remarkable. Len Bias, never got to see him in person at Maryland. Of course, never got to see him play in the NBA because he never got the chance. His life ended way too soon. What could have been if Len Bias had suited up for the Boston Celtics and teamed up with those great squads? Got to see Len Bias on television here and there. I've watched highlights. I just can't imagine what he could have amounted to as a professional basketball player. Maybe he would have been put in that pantheon. He certainly had the skills to be tossed into the conversation.